Hey gang, it's Ted Grouthen with today's TEDcast. And today I was going to talk about the topic for the day is how do you build processes in your business and do it quickly? Building processes quickly. So this came up because I was talking to a couple of folks and it seemed like I've just been getting a lot of this the last little while. Over the summer especially, it's been busy and stuff. And people are starting to try to say, I'm trying to do this for my business and that for my business, and I want to have a hiring plan, and I want to go to a new flat rate system, and I want to have a new pricing scheme, and I know I need to update my prices because the supplier's doing it again, changing my prices on me again, and I don't have time for that. And you're pretty much sitting there in these like little circles of not really getting anything done and just kind of spinning your wheels a lot, and you got like 9 projects in the air, none of them are getting done. And I hear complaints like, oh, I'm just too busy, man, I can't get this done, and that kind of thing. I'm kind of doing a random task. Maybe they found an hour to work on it, and it's like, oh yeah, I spent like an hour yesterday working on my price sheets, and then I didn't finish it, and I had to go run some calls or do something, and then I didn't get back to it. And the next time they had 45 minutes, they worked on something else, like the new phone system or something else they were doing. I've got all these little projects that they're throwing around. And what it really comes down to is nothing's complete. You got nothing that they're working on is actually done and complete and in the business and working. And then even the pieces they do have, some of it doesn't fit together. So it's a big mistake to try to grab, like, I don't know, a flat rate system from this guy. And it doesn't matter if you get it from me or anybody else. I got this thing from here, I got a new piece of software, does this really cool thing. Well, that's great. And then I have a sales thing over here. It's like, but the software and the sales thing don't really connect very well. So it doesn't really fit together. So at some point you're kind of like, I'm not really getting a seamless transition through what's going on here. I'm not really getting anything done in my business. So there's really a key thing that has to happen when you're doing this. It's really 3 things for each piece that you stick in your business. First of all, you have to have the process, like the concept. What are we trying to create here? So let's use the example of like a flat rate system or a service pricing system, if you will. So it used to be on time and material, you're trying to switch to flat rate, or you're on a flat rate trying to switch to a different one that is more integrated with your sales process or something, right? So I have to envision what that is and know what that's supposed to happen when I implement this process. Like I want it to look like this and do it this way. That's cool. Then you got to create a tool. Potentially, you might have to create a tool for how to use that. So an example of a flat rate. Well, I got an idea, I want flat rate because this, then I have to create the actual flat rate, like the sheets and stuff that you show people, like the published pricing, and I have to create that tool for it so that I have a thing to actually use to do the process I envision. And then of course, if you do training on it, and that's just for the one item like the flat rate. And then I have to create another one for something else, like, maybe for sales. So I have to have sales. I think I'm going to say it this way. Then I got to create a tool. Maybe it's a script, maybe it's a presentation book or something. And then I have to train on how to use that. So for each of these things, I got to do those 3 steps. So those are the 3 steps in order every single time. Let me give you an example of the kind of flow that you might be trying to create, and I'll give you a really cool tip at the end here, how to build it and how to do it quicker. All right. So a typical company would be something like, hey, we're going to run some ads because we need more customers. So we're going to run ads, and the ads lead to calls on the phone, hopefully, right? Or some way, maybe it's a phone, or maybe you've got to, click on a computer where they get to pick their own schedule time, or something's going to happen to book calls and get people on the schedule. And we have to have a thing for that, a process, if you will. And then a lot of those might lead to something like tune-ups, or some of those tune-ups might be current customers that are on your maintenance plan or your club membership or whatever you've got. But we're going to lead to calls where we get to go run a call for a simple thing like a tune-up. And some of those will lead to a service call, like, hey, we found some stuff wrong. We're doing a tune-up, found a couple repairs need to be done, and we need to transition to that and flow into that. And then, of course, some of those services are going to become serious enough or whatever, where the customer is finally going, geez, how much is a new one? And we're going to get to a replacement sale. And ultimately, if we're really honest with ourselves, replacement sales is the goal that we're trying to get most of our customers to eventually. And we don't need to lie to them and try to get them, every single customer there on the first day if there's nothing wrong with their system. But we'd like to become their company and eventually get them to there. So that's kind of the flow, right? We're going to run an ad, run a call, then do a tune-up, something simple, lead to something more serious, and something a little more serious like a replacement. Now, you can also jump into this matrix anywhere you need to. So, for example, customer calls up, no heat, no cool. They're jumping right into the service place. That's where they're entering the matrix at. They may not even have seen an ad. They may be your current customer, but they're jumping into the process in the middle. So, but then again, if it's a repair that we do that. If we flow them into a replacement because it's an old piece of junk air conditioner, it's got no cooling, and it's appropriate, we flow them into the replacement, and there we go. So that's how you build that stuff out. Here's the key for how to build it. You got to build it backwards, because I get so many people calling me up saying something like, man, it's been happening crazy here. It's October, it's the fall. It happens every fall and every spring in the shoulder season. I get tons of people talking to me. I'm trying to run ads. I need more customers, Like, okay, great. So if the ads worked, let's just say we waved a magic wand and got your ads to work, and you're missing some pieces down the line here, it's a waste of time to run ads. If you don't have a replacement sales process for how you're going to sell it, back to process with a tool like you don't have a price sheet and a training on how to use the price sheet and how to give a price and close that deal in front of the customer right now, there's no reason for me to or anyone else to help you with trying to get a whole bunch of new customers if you can't close them anyway. So you got to build the replacement thing, then build the service thing, then build the tune-up process or the maintenance program, then build how you're going to answer your phone and get them onto the schedule, and then you can finally build ads. Because it doesn't make any sense to start with the top and try to go down and invent this as you go, because you spin your wheels forever. Wow, my God, what happens if the ads work? What happens if 100 people called you suddenly for this great offer you got for tune-ups, but you haven't got a tune-up process, and even if you did, all they did is do the tune-up and they never bought any repairs from that, or they never did a club membership because you don't have a way to move them smoothly into the club membership program. You never built any of that. You don't have a brochure for it, not that you need one, but you don't have even a paperwork for how to fill it out for them to sign up. If you don't have that stuff, then they can be nodding their head they want it, but it doesn't do you any good. So you build it backwards, because that way every time you build a step, it leads to something that already exists, okay? Instead of leads to something that's just in the ether out there somewhere. Remember these guys over here? This is a whole bunch of stuff in the ether. It doesn't exist. Make it exist. Start with replacement, move your way up. Now, when I'm doing with stuff with my clients, what we're doing is we start there. We always start before this, we start with numbers and stuff, understanding how to build your replacement systems. Then we build replacement price sheets, we build the tool, we train on how to use that so that we're good at it, and then we move up to the next one. Now do service department. How do you do that? Well, let's do flat rate. And it's a real simple system. And here's the good news. It all fits together. Because when I'm showing folks how to do it, it's like, hey, look, do a replacement. Just do it this way. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already done. Do it like this. This one integrates to that, integrates to that, integrates to that. Now, it may not be perfect, but it works together, okay? If you say, hey, I found this flat rate system for service that I like better than yours, fine, if you want to do that, but the problem you're going to have is it takes you about 5 times longer to actually get it working, because you have to modify the pieces of how it works to fit into the other stuff you're doing. So, and that's not my recommendation. My recommendation is do the whole damn program and do it from bottom to top the way we teach you to do it. Now, that doesn't just true of my program. It's true of everybody's. If anybody's any good at showing you how to help run your business better, if they're not doing this, then you got the wrong person. Or if you're not doing it because of some reason that you don't like their program, you're in the wrong program, okay? So, and not to say you have to have one, because you can figure this out by yourself, but I can just tell you, I've been around this business 30 years. I have seen very few owners who figured all of these things all out on their own. Almost everyone who's running companies that are of any size at all, that have any kind of real success where they're running a company that doesn't need them to be there every 5 minutes to run it, they all learned this from somebody who had already put the puzzle together, and they said, I'll just do it that way. That's the way to go, is build the processes quickly by copying, with permission, somebody else's stuff, and just do it that way. We already have the process. We know what it looks like. We already have the tools. We know what that looks like. Just use this tool. Here's a script. You don't necessarily need to be a script. I don't believe in scripts, for like not word for word ones anyway. But I know, for example, that my process for selling like an air conditioner is to get people to agree to a couple of things. They have to agree they need an air conditioner. They have to agree they want to buy one from me. They have to agree that now is the time to do it. Well, if I know those things, and it's just an example, if I know those things, then I don't need a script word for word. I just need to know that I have to tick these boxes off one at a time or it ain't happening, right? So I do training on that. Train myself. And by the way, if you're a small company, like a one-man show is like the smallest company, you can do this really quickly because the training process could be, hey, you know what? I just decided to tomorrow morning do it a different way and I practiced in my head a few times. I think I'll just start doing it this way with customers from now on. It gets more complicated when you have more employees because it takes a little while to train more people to all be on the same page, but it's always the same process. Process, what we're going to do, tools that we're going to use to do it, and then training to use those tools. So, hey, I built myself a new price book. I'm a one-man show. That's cool. And while you're building it, you can be imagining, how am I going to use this in front of customers? Oh, I get it. I'll get them to select one of these things on my menu or wherever you're doing. That's how it works. So ultimately, it really is, when you're building them quickly, again, it's build it from the bottom up, use this matrix here, process, tool, training, and then build it to the next one, and make sure that each piece you're building flows into the next one in a natural way. So, again, an example of that is the ad has to lead to the call has to make sense for what the ad just said, and the call has to make sense to leading to a tune-up or a service or wherever they're going. And then when you're on the service call, the whole process you got there has to make sense to lead to one of a couple of pathways, like on a service call, on a repair call. You're kind of saying, hey, I'm either going to go down the repair path and I'm going to have a pricing sheet, my flat rates for how to fix that and get that complete for a customer, or I'm going to have a fork in the road here where we say we're not doing that anymore. We're switching it to the replacement and moving smoothly into our other process here, and whatever that's going to be, whether the technician sells it or you have a way that you get a service guy, a sales guy out there to take over, however you're doing that. But it has to be smooth. It has to be consistent. Okay, so that's the TEDcast for today. If you want to talk to me about any of this stuff, go ahead and just send me a message, and you can just go to tedgravlin.com/booking if you want to. We can set up a time to talk on the phone, or you can just message me here on Facebook or whatever. Or if you're on the YouTube channel, then I guess you'll have to go to the website. But just do that if you want to talk, and we'll talk soon.